You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Well, what I mean, this is your boy Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And that's right, today we're talking amazing independent comic books with an amazing creative duo. Oh man, this brotherly duo right here, they're kicking ass in the business. They've done things over, they have over 20 books out, stories out there, but they got something right now through Massive Publushing, Dark Rose Studios. Oh snap. You haven't heard of them? Oh, you're going to find out about them right now. I can't wait to introduce this dynamic new, this brotherly duo over here that's smashing and banging comics right now. They're about to smash the game, come with this breakthrough, with this incredible new book. Let me introduce Mr. Morgan and Owen Rosenblum.
What's up? Well, it's like a boxing entrance. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, let's get them. Who would you want to fight? You know what I mean? I'll bring them in.
True story, though. I fought in the New York Golden Gloves.
I ain't messing with you. Everybody now, when you ask for a signature, be kind with Morgan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hung up the gloves a little while back, man. So
yeah, you don't want to catch their fists,
Yeah, Big Dan in the building. What up? Welcome one and all Crusaders. What's up? So again, thank you for coming on to the show to talk about your fantastic, dope new project, RAMGOD. That name alone, holy shit, it sounds vicious as F. I really can't wait to get into what the story's about. Before we do all that, we gotta reel it back, brother. So between you two, who's the oldest? All right, so we're gonna start with the youngin since he probably got picked on the most.
Fair.
No, it's all good.
All right, Brigo, talk to me. Where y'all from, and the first thing you fell in love with in pop culture, and who introduced you? If it was that guy.
Yeah, that's good. But we're native New Yorkers, all right. We're native Manhattanites. We are third generation New Yorkers, so we bleed NYC. Here,
We bleed blue, baby. That's right.
Absolutely. And this is one of those things where, in terms of like pop culture and stuff like that, if I'm to relate it to kind of anything, Morgan and I always give major shout outs to Todd McFarlane and Spawn specifically. He's kind of like the OG for us, where he kind of took a darker turn for some stuff that felt more gritty to us when we were younger. And that kind of paved the way. We were big, Batman fans, obviously huge into the animated series. That was one of the most legendary things we'd ever seen. And obviously the original X-Men that they just brought back with X-Men 97, that just was beyond nostalgic for us. And I think that's why it's been having such a positive response, because people have been waiting so long for Marvel to do something that kind of felt like it was honoring the fans. So,
okay. All right, there we go. So Morgan, you being the oldest, we already know y'all OG NYers, all right? Manhattanites. I'm a Brooklynite, Greenpoint.
Well, I was about to say, I grew up in Manhattan, but I went to school in Brooklyn. So.
Wait, you said Greenpoint? I live in Greenpoint.
Oh, well, man, I grew up on Morgan Avenue, bro.
Oh, nice. I'm on my Manhattan.
Oh, well, man, listen, I was over there last weekend in McCarran Park at the spot in the middle of the park, that little bar.
Of course.
You know what I'm talking about. I had so much fun.
I know exactly where it's from.
Man, next time I go, I'm gonna hit you guys up, man. We that we could geek out and have a couple of good drinks in New York. Folks, that's right.
Sure. I live in the city. Morgan's up. He's more up north. He's in the Hudson Valley now.
Oh, poor guy. Missing out on all the fun. That's all right.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Listen, that's what happens when you get older. I understand. Look at me now. I'm in Webster, Massachusetts. I go to New York to have a good time.
Exactly.
So, Morgan, talk about it. We already know y'all from New York, but what was your first thing that you fell in love with? And he forced himself on you to take your stuff. Is that what happened?
Nah. So we're 2 years apart, and growing up, we got into comics exactly the same time, because our dad introduced us to comics. Neither Owen or I we weren't very good readers. We didn't like reading, just plain text. So my dad was like, they like movies and pictures. Let's try to combine the two. And comics felt like the right, medium for that. So he introduced us to comics. And I think like he brought us to a comic book store, and I remember it pretty vividly. He was like, pick one. And this was like literally right when Spawn had just come out, as Owen was saying. So that one just kind of like I don't know, just appealed to us. It spoke to us. I really like Jim Lee, artist wise, and like the original X-Men. When he came on to do X-Men, and then also did Wildcats. It's really awesome. Really like Wildcats.
Yeah, you came in at the right time. That's my era too, coming out of high school, going to Lorimer Comics, and that was the stuff that was popping when the guys were still right on the cusp. You know what I mean? They were still at Marvel, but the trauma was just happening. And they actually got to go to the first New York it wasn't New York Comic Con then, it was a different con, but when the whole Image guys broke out and did their first thing, it was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my plugged the line so that way I could meet Todd and Rob and Jim. I don't know how he did it, but he goes, just stand in front of me. No one's gonna say shit to me. He was a big dude, so nobody did. Hey, that's New York. That's how we live in New York, kiddo. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. All right. So so I'll continue Morgan here. So talk about then you guys getting creative then. So you guys are geeking out. So at least you guys have each other. So you're your own tribe. So I'm gonna bypass the tribe question because who needs a tribe when you got brotherly love? F that. So
well, actually, on that note, by the way, Al, like we there's another member of our crew who's this guy Johnny, right? He's one of the other. He didn't work on RAMGOD per se, but in Dark Rose, he's one of the other partners, and we grew up with him too. I've known him longer than I've known my brother. So like, our parents met in Lamaze class, right? You know, the whole thing. And so we were buddies before we were even born, right? Like
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's the brother from another, you know.
Yeah, that's great. All right, bad. So then, how did you guys get connected in the passion, though? I mean, was it also the same time that was he amongst you guys when your father said pick a book?
Yeah, actually, he was. But I mean, in general, though, like we just grew up loving, you know, superhero type stuff and comics in general. And my dad would do like all these like voices. He's like, we always describe him as like a Robin Williams type. May he rest in peace. You know, like how he does like the character voices and stuff. And so, and I'm an artist too. So I draw a lot and would used to like create my own characters. And as I would, you know, Johnny and Owen would both be like, oh, now draw a character like this. And we, you know, he would give me like sort of art direction as to like what kind of characters to make. And I would just make all these different like cool characters. And anyway, so like fast forward to like in my mid 20s, I'm working in sales, not really loving what I'm doing. You know, just like 9 to 5, typical 9 to 5, like following what like I should be doing and like the system, and was just feeling very uninspired and wanted to you know, I was like, I need to do something creative. That's what I'm meant to do in this world. And so I started writing like a comic book, or I started writing a script with the goal to turn it into a comic book. Okay. But rather than trying to illustrate it myself, because I'm a good artist, but I'm more of like a character artist and like concept artist type. Yeah. I wound up like hiring an artist and paying him to like do convert the first 10 pages from my script into a comic. And then this was right around, I think, when Kickstarter was like starting to make a name for itself, you know, like I want to say like 15 years ago or something like that. So
they were still on the Lower East Side. Yeah, I remember those days. Now they're in Greenpoint as well.
I don't even know where Kickstarter is based, but we've been using it.
I think they actually sold that office that was in Greenpoint.
Oh, they got a Greenpoint already?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, geez,
I remember they were trying to sell that building. Yeah.
Damn. I went to the LES one and I met a ton of amazing creators in the Lower East Side when they had the little office there. And it was really cool to see so many different creative types. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, we're big fans of Kickstarter, man.
But we never like physically visited their like facilities. I don't even know where they were. So you just told me they're in Brooklyn. But anyway, like I threw up a project on Kickstarter, which was my first comic book, to like kind of literally kickstart it and get it funded. And then was able to do that. And that kind of started me on the journey. And I'm like, cool, I like this. And, and, you know, other friends and family members that like always remembered me for being like a, you know, a good artist as a kid and always drawing and creating stuff and playing make-believe and whatever. We're like, oh, it's good to see Morgan doing this. So it was kind of no turning back at that point. Like I still had other jobs that I was doing, but this just became more and more prevalent in my life. And like, until it became like my career. And so I've written several other like comics and graphic. I've done some indie work. I've done some stuff for like heavy metal, and now obviously with Massive, with this new series, which is pretty exciting. A new comic publisher called Gungner coming out too. So like Owen, meanwhile though, was like working in production, and I'll let you kind of talk more about that.
Yeah, tag me in, bro. Tag me in. We're like the WWE here. You know, that's always how we go. But yeah, so I started in video production. Actually, I started a video production company with a buddy of mine. Matt Frenzy, shout out.
He's my, by the way, co-creator in Treadwater. So we keep like a tight knit tribe.
Look at that circle. Yeah, man, you got to keep your village tight, man.
Yeah, and that's the fourth partner in Dark Rose too. So
100%. We always say you can't. With the thing we value most is creative intuition, and you can't teach it. You just either have it or you don't.
Yes.
So like when we find people who are great and smart and talented and driven, we keep them close. And we're very loyal in that way, and rinse and repeat kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, I started in video production for a long time. I'm a producer by trade. So I was always making other people's creative visions into a reality. And, I started normally at like the end. So we were on set a lot, but I was dealing with storyboard artists, and we were kind of concepting and doing this type of thing. And Morgan was into creating comics and graphic novels, and we always read them together as kids. And I was like gravitated towards that medium, but I was in video production. So I was like, how do I kind of mesh these two worlds? And then I started working with Morgan, and then he became managing editor at Heavy Metal Magazine, and I was loving what he was doing. And I was like, man, I'm getting envious. Like I got like, I'm making all these other people's creative visions a reality. I got to make it my own. And then during COVID, I started creating RAMGOD and brought Morgan in and was like, hey, I need your expertise and your talent here to help me really flesh this out and give this thing, the right legs that it needs to stand on. And one thing led to another. And like a phoenix from the ashes, man, we are here with Massive doing our thing.
Yeah, man. Before I bring the pictures up, Morgan, how you felt about that when Owen said, all right, I have an idea. F that, I'm going to break out. I need to do this, and I need your help. I mean, how was it when your bro came to you with that wonderful idea?
I was like, about time. Like, because Owen had worked with me on a bunch of other like series, but not in the inception phase, right? Like not from the beginning. It was almost like he would come in after we had a comic or a graphic novel out, and then we would want to adapt it into like an animated, short video or like even some live action stuff. We made like a little video game
stuff. Yeah,
like a little bit later. But this time he was like, I have an idea. I have a world that I'm building. And I have some ideas for characters, but I need to ground them and like to make them more relatable and things like that. And I said, okay, put together like, put your thoughts on paper and try to like, pitch me on it. And then he did that. He spent like a couple months doing that and then brought it to me. And I was like, okay, you got something here. Let me like kind of work with you now, and we'll bring this to life a lot more. But RAMGOD definitely spawned from Owen. But the fun thing is this is literally our first like co-authored title between the brothers Bloom, right? The Rosenblum brothers that we've ever done. So that's really exciting for us because this one is like he and I coming together. My dad and my mom are really pumped about that.
I get it. My brothers and I started our own podcast finally after me and he was trying to convince them, let's chit chat. Cause we, I'm born in the 70s, one of them 80s, and the last one in the 90s. So my mother had one every generation. Yeah, so we're into different things, so it makes a fun conversation. So yeah, I get it when you get to work with your loved one like that, like your sibling. It's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And folks, I'm about to show you how fun and dope this book looks. I mean, we're about to get some fire, baby. And so, first of all, talk about this cover. What the F? I mean, when I saw this in the colors, I said, this is vicious.
That one's by Carlos Dottoli. Carlos Dottoli is a phenomenal artist. He paints in 3D space, right? So he designs these characters actually in 3D and then begins to draw over them after that. So like it's that's why they're like super high detailed and high rendering. We worked with some incredible artists on the series as a whole, but on the covers, that was like a real treat for us because we got to work with like some superstar artists from Carlos Dottoli to Rob Willis to David Mack.
Oh, I got those too. We got some colors we're going to be showing off.
Yeah.
Let me go to Owen. I mean, I mentioned something in the green room that it reminded me of, but when you were building this, what were you a fan of when you started building this in your head? What happened? What was that spark moment that RAMGOD was boom? What were you watching? What were you doing? What happened to you, bro?
So that's interesting that you say that. So obviously RAMGOD is the name of the sports league within this series.
Well, that's not obvious to everyone. I don't even think we've given anyone a quick pitch on like what it's about.
Well, okay. Anyway, it is the sports league that is within our world. And that is really kind of where it started. And we created this during COVID, right? So everyone was kind of masked up. and we kind of didn't know what was going on in the world, and everyone was, washing their Amazon packages and just fucking going insane. So at that time, I was just like, everyone was masking up, and I was like, what would be the evolution if pandemics continue to happen, right? And viruses and us destroying the atmosphere and whatever else, like what would happen? And mixed with AI technology and everything else, like what would really happen? And then I was like, well, I guess a mask would evolve to like a helmet. And I was like watching Iron Man stuff, and there's this game called Anthem 2 that was out. And I was just like, you know what? There's like something about these helmets and this armor. And it made me think, this is a super throwback reference. But if you ever seen the show Centurions way back in the day.
Oh my God. I have figures, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of like combine these different, I'm like the reference king. So like, I'll just throw things together. And I'm like, remember that. And Morgan was playing Cyberpunk 2077. Shout out to them. Love their world building at the time. And we were just kind of like, you know what? Cyberpunk is an unexplored genre, and it's underutilized. Mm-hmm. And we're like, if that's the genre, we want to create something within this and like expand it. And we were like, well, Morgan and I love sports. He's a huge NFL fan. I love the NBA and other things. And we were like, you know what? We sometimes watch UFC together and whatever. And then there's Formula One. And we were like, you know what? Let's create something that kind of mashes it all up with a little Ninja Warrior in there and UFC and as I said, Formula One and all this other type of stuff. There was even a show we used to watch as kids called Global Guts. So like,
you messed me up there. What was that? I missed. Maybe I was around Mackin. I never heard of that one.
Global Guts. Yeah, I want to say, was that on Nickelodeon, Morgan? Am I right?
I think so. It was like Ninja Warrior for kids, and you could like you would climb across this thing called the Aggro Crag, which was like this man-made foam mountain that would like shoot out like smoke and things like that to try to knock you off of it. And there was like other people that would come and try to knock you off of it. And cool. We're like, I love that as kids. We thought it was super. It was almost like American Gladiator, Ninja Warrior, but like,
Yeah, exactly. I think it was on next to Legends of the Hidden Temple as well.
Which, by the way, have you ever watched Legends of the Hidden Temple? They try to bring it back recently. Not so great.
No, man. I think those are my days when I was, out there macking in the world. So, TV left me for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. It got pulled off the air probably because we never knew what those temple guards were doing with them kids when they took them. So.
Oh, my God. Hey, man, after the last Nickelodeon series, right? Expose, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we kind of just we're like, hey, we like sports. We want to make something that's got a sports element that's cool and gritty and kind of plays into technology and like corporate sponsors and things like that, that leans into the cyberpunk genre. But then at the end of the day, this is a character-driven series, and Morgan is fantastic with characters. And, at being New Yorkers, we've said this a lot, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Al, is like being New Yorkers in a massive city, you kind of feel like you're an ant, part of a colony, but our approach is always take a tight lens to a big world.
Yeah.
So we tried to take that New York mentality of being in this huge thing, but really being focused and just being a part of something that's way larger, and apply it to this series. And I'll kick it to Morgan to evolve that.
So we talk about the characters. Let's introduce them. On the upper right over there, you have Clint Bowler. Now he's a former collegiate superstar athlete, right? He was supposed to be like the #1 overall draft pick in the NFL coming out of college, but he got involved with like kind of a shady crowd. And was implicated with like some money laundering, crime syndicates. He was just like hanging around with mobsters, right? And ultimately, this wound up getting him a lifetime ban from the NFL. So this like pretty much the new LeBron James, but of football, no longer can play football. So he's got to like rethink his life, and winds up like changing his entire direction and becoming a cop of all things. And the story begins 15 years later. So he's like 35, past his prime as an athlete, right? Has been kind of like in the same spot, especially as a cop, because he hasn't been like promoted to detective. He's like a patrolman, a beat cop in New City, which is the name of like our city, fictitious city that could be like a Gotham or a Metropolis or like, any of those. And he's got a teenage son named Malcolm, and Malcolm is he's 15 years old and doesn't really talk to his dad too much. Because Malcolm is living with his mom, who's Clint's sort of like ex, right? And like he lives with his stepdad and only gets to see his dad like once a month, right? So anyway, the sport RAMGOD is Malcolm's favorite thing, right? It's almost like the UFC when it first came out, where it was like people, it's like, oh, what do you mean UFC? It's like boxing. It's like, no, the UFC is cool. And now, right, obviously UFC is humongous, probably maybe even bigger than boxing, but RAMGOD's like in its third year as a sport, and Malcolm's obsessed with it. So the league is now mandating a new rule, a new policy, where every team in the league has to bring on a fifth player to their roster, right? What we find out, though, is that of these 8 teams, 7 of them are corporate funded and sponsored by like a big company that owns them and supplies them with the money and funds to, afford the tech and insurance and all that other stuff. But there's one team, the Barracudas, which is the blue ones. These guys, they are the people's team, where they are funded through a crowdsourcing platform, like a GoFundMe type thing or a Patreon, where like fans can literally like donate money to keep this team active, right? But what we find out is that the Barracudas actually secretly moonlight as bank robbers, and that's like stealing old school cash and funneling it and laundering it through this crowdsourcing platform. And that's how they're able to operate. So with that said, now the Barracudas, which are now mandated to bring on a new 5th player to their team, have to find someone that they can trust that will A, be like a good athlete and help them win the league, but B, like, is going to be down to do all of this stuff with them. Right. So we liken our series a lot to like the original Fast and the Furious movies meets like a little, I don't know if you've seen the old school Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
Heck yeah, man. The real Point Break, not that.
Exactly, not that new stuff. But so like kind of like that, where it's like, they were bank robbers moonlighting as surfers, and then they were or surfers moonlighting as bank robbers, and in Point Break, and then in Fast and the Furious, obviously they're racers, but also bank robbers. So for us, it's like there are these athletes in this new sport called RAMGOD that are the bank robbers. The big difference in our series, though, is obviously the setting and the characters, but also that the cop, Clint, is not going in undercover. He doesn't even know that these guys are bank robbers. But the reason that he even pops up on their radar and gets invited to a tryout is because like this one weekend that he gets to hang with his kid, who's like staying with him while they're like getting pancakes together at like an IHOP or whatever. There's a report of like some crime that's taking place, and the suspect is like on, has just stolen a car, and they see the car literally whiz by them. So the dad is like, Clint's like, Malcolm, stay here, kid. I gotta go. Yeah. Like, and then he goes off to try to stop that person, and it winds up making like the evening news. And the team captain of the Barracudas, it catches that news break where they're like, and earlier today in downtown New City, this police officer showed off these incredible athletic skills. Now, if they look familiar, it's because they're from none other than former number 1 overall draft pick, and then he's like, oh. So as he starts doing research on this guy, he finds out about his dark past being, connected to like some crime syndications and things like that, and pitches it to his teammates to pretty much be like, yo, I think this guy might be worth a look. And, the team is torn. They're like, I don't know, man. He's a cop. Are you freaking kidding me, dude? And other ones are like, yeah, but he also has some darkness in him. So ultimately, it's Clint's journey becomes that of like redemption, where he gets to redeem himself to become that star athlete again, but obviously gets roped into like the criminal activity. All the while, his kid, Malcolm, right, is like all of a sudden seeing his dad in a new light, because he used to look at his dad as kind of like a deadbeat, like not doing anything. And now all of a sudden he's playing for his favorite team. And his friends think it's cool and stuff. So, not to mention that his dream, like what he aspires to do when he's older, Malcolm, he wants to be an engineer on a RAMGOD team. And now he's actually going to get like an internship by being able to hang with his dad, who's like a new, tryout for the team.
Yeah. I love this movie poster approach to this. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That was all the throwback to Running Man from Arnold. Go ahead, get out of here.
Exactly.
Arnold. Yeah. I mean, and look at him, black and white, fire.
Yeah, Rob Willis is like a phenomenal inker, man. And he's not just an inker, he's an illustrator, but I mean, his black and white. That's the David Mack cover.
Yeah, legendary.
Yep.
That shit is so boss, bro.
That's an interior. So that's like that's like the title page that we decided to actually throw into like a scene in the story. So instead of just like throwing credits on like the front page, like we're like, it'd be kind of cool if it was like in a movie you saw it on the billboards.
Yeah,
so,
and well done. And who is the colorist? Because holy shit, does the page pop from the moment?
Yeah, that's Ren Spiller. He's like Ren Spiller is awesome. We found him when he was like just entering the industry as a colorist. So he's obviously very good and very well trained. But I think he was like an engineer or like he was in grad school for like getting his doctorate in something not art related at the time, and decided that he wanted to pursue this. And like I forget how we got wind of him, but we were like, dude, we need you to do a color test for our new series. He crushed it. And then the rest is history. Now we're like, you are the next greatest colorist. Look at this.
He's our guy. We've really brought him into the fold. He's like a brother.
I mean, and the artists, I mean, look at these panels. I mean, your letter too, the placement, the coloring, everything in this book just like pops, dude.
Thank you.
Pops. And the verbiage, I mean, it's a fun story. You get intrigued. I was hooked. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here? I'm digging this shit. And things are happening. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, huh? What? So yeah, bro. I mean, sickos over here, and what you guys created, this could possibly be a real sport eventually. I mean, people are getting that bored, so I believe it, and I need you guys to you know, get out there the word and make this real.
So a little bit about the sport, in case you want to know. So the sport has three. It's like the Olympics, sort of, where that it's like a point-based system, and the team competes in like sort of several different events, and it's always three events. It's a race, a climb, and a combat. So the race can be like, in this panel you're seeing like two hefties. They're like sort of like twisted metal style elimination type thing, and then they relay it over to like hover runners, which are like floating motorcycles that can go on water or on land. And then the combat is just like fighting. It could be a one-on-one. Sometimes it's a battle royale, depending on like how many competitors are in the events. Always change, so it's always like the same three, but they change like the player counts in each one to compete. This is like one versus
dynamics a little bit within each competition.
And so like during the events, right, there are these boosts. They're sort of like the Mario Kart styled unlockables that you can get. You pass over them digitally by finding them on the course, or in some cases,
we say if Mario Kart and the Hunger Games like had a twisted like baby on acid, it would kind of be like boosts.
I'll tell you this much, you know, and that senior talk that we're looking at, you know, regarding the race, that's the first shit I thought. I said, this is like Mario Kart on crack, bro. What's going on?
So in this event, it's like it's the finals between Barracudas and the Ragers, and the red and the blue teams, which is like the split helm in that issue 1 that you like so much. The fight actually, let me backtrack. Owen and I tried to get into NASCAR and Formula 1 at one point, but it's like, you know, watching people just go in circles to us was like, it's only fun like sort of towards the end or certain key moments kind of thing. So we're like, wouldn't it be kind of cool if there was like a different part of the event that you could almost like turn your attention to during the race that would impact the race? And so what's happening here is that there's a fight going on between the two teams, also between two of their bot players. And based on how much damage they do, like if you were playing video games and like, you know, you're going at it, the more damage they do to the other opponent, once they cross the threshold, it unlocks a boost on the race course for their teammates and things like that.
Shit.
Right. So it could be like a short cut, something like that.
Yeah. So think about it. It's like if you were watching a UFC match and they were both competing for different teams, and that like it was on a point system, and that the points would then translate to like a Formula 1 race. That would then give one of the two teams competing there, which are obviously the same, a competitive advantage.
Like maybe they have like Knights of Oxide, like the NOS, like it'll like.
That's what I was saying, but yeah, you know, you unlock the NOS. Finally, the button picks up. Oh man, I'm in.
Exactly, right. Now, taking that further, the final like leg in the finals in this one is the climb, right? Which you have to get to the top of this like ginormous man-made mountain, right? And in doing that. Like, I don't know if we have pages to showcase of that, but anyway, well, that's good because we don't give away the ending, at least of issue 1.
Give that away. The preview pages, because again, with beautiful damn panels. Because what you guys did, look at the panels. I mean, how everything looks. It's eye candy. The eye just flows, bro.
Yeah, shout out to the cool things in white here.
Let's say Kanan's incredible. He's the artist that did the black and whites for this prior to the colors. So you'll notice too in the top and bottom of the pages, there's like some other little like UI styled graphics going on. Those were so initially, for context, like when we made this book initially, it was supposed to be magazine sizing, not like the smaller standard comic size. It was made to like actually go in Heavy Metal magazine at the time. And when we ultimately moved it out of the magazine and partnered with Massive, we resized it to like a standard comic, but we had all this dead space on the top and bottom, and we didn't want to leave it black. So we came up with the idea with our amazing letterer Nahi, Ismail Nahad, he goes by Nahi, to like add these cool in-world like elements, so as if like it helps to tell the story a little bit better. So for example, like the boost you can unlock, you can see how many are left, or if they lost one or just gained one or used one on the top of the screen. And on the bottom, it lets them know like who's in the lead and what's going on. So every page is
video game like style.
And also a throwback to Spawn. Remember when he would use his power back in the day with countdown.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, that's right. That wasn't intentional, but absolutely works.
Yeah. And here those character designs. I mean, look at this. I mean, were you involved in the character design? How was this process in creating the characters?
So I worked heavily with Kanan on the character design. I would say in most cases, like Owen is the king of like mood boards and like putting together references. He'll be like, I want this kind of face. I want this kind of body type. I want this kind of armor. I want this kind of color scheme, whatever. And then he usually works with me to like, I'll kind of draw them up initially. And then we send them over to the artist. They'll take their stab at it and then usually send it back to me, in which case like I kind of draw over it and make my little notes and alterations. Sometimes I'll even color them or whatever. And then so it's been a collaborative process, but ultimately like the character designs came from Owen and myself. And then obviously with a little bit of the artist, like helping to realize them and bring them to life.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. So every team has 4 players when it starts, 3 humans and 1 bot and 1 engineer. The engineer can be human or bot; it doesn't matter. And they're like the Q from like James Bond or whatever, the guys that like
kind of like meets your pit boss from like Formula One stuff, you know.
Gotcha.
Right, and then all the cops in this world have a instead of having like a chess cam, they'll have like an actual AI bot partner, which is if you go back one. That's BC 318, right? So like they're all BC like bot cops. They all have different numbers.
Especially like at that time, I think, or like while we were creating it, all the George Floyd stuff was happening too. So we were like police accountability and everything else. And we were like, what's the future of that? And then we were like, with body cams and everything else, we're like, what if each, squad was mandated to have kind of a robot that knew all the rules, regulations, and recorded everything. Yeah,
but what if the robot had to take action? How does it know what pressure to apply?
It's not allowed to take action. We created some real firm rules. We wanted it to be like they monitor and can like sort of like they're like an annoying.
They're the watcher. They're the watcher. They're the monitor.
Exactly, to make sure everything's kosher and going along, but they're not allowed to like raise a gun and shoot or anything like that.
Okay, no wonder he was annoying. You quit. When this mother got talking, I said, "Jesus Christ, I've been such a tight ass. What's wrong with you?"
Right.
You're saying about BC in the book because he's like reminding.
In the book,
he reminds like about like his appointments and things like that, and he's like, "You might want to leave soon if you want to pick up your son in time." And he's like, "Don't tell me how to." Parent like
exactly. Mind your business, bro. You're a robot. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
Shut up. You talking about, son? You talking about Willis? But yeah, I really dig it. I mean, the designs, the color scheme, everything. And again, the way you bring the diversity again, fellow New Yorkers here. This we write what we see, and I think that's why people on the coast don't understand about the middle. It's not as diverse in the middle. They gotta understand that, we're diverse is why we are the way we are in the middle.
Melting pot. We're a melting. If you're from New York or know anything about it, whatever your beliefs are before that about New Yorkers, we're a melting pot. Of every race, every religion, every culture. You got it all.
I'm Puerto Rican that grew up around Polish people. I mean, I speak the language, but I understand it for some odd reason. Yeah. I used to help them at the bodega. Yeah. Like, do you know that language? I'm like, no, it's just, I don't know. You pick it up.
We also had a phenomenal story editor on this with Joseph Village, who's worked with DC.
Oh, Big Joe. Yeah, man. A legend, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to him. He really helped us take this story and the characters just to another level and pushed us to kind of just go beyond, just like archetypes and other things and like really make them flawed in the right ways and kind of create this anti-hero component too. And just he really allowed us to pull these threads and activate these parts of our character building that we hadn't been doing before.
And look at that font, RAMGOD. Yeah, man. I feel like you gotta say RAMGOD. RAMGOD. coming to a theater. You know,
Yeah.
near you. Love it. And talk about the creation of then of Dark Rose, because you kept talking about and stressing your partners and everything. So, when was the birth of Dark Rose? Was it with this project? Was it prior? When was this born?
So Dark Rose there, it actually reads Dark Rose there, but I think it's in black font, so it's over at PNG, which is why you can't see it. But there's the word Dark Rose there, which is our sort of creative studio. That is the umbrella that houses all of our creative projects. So like from RAMGOD to Winds of New Masera to Treadwater to Gemstone Nights and a bunch of other stuff that we're working on. We started that right around when I started Treadwater. Initially, it was supposed to be like an indie publishing company too, where we were going to run our own titles through it, and which we did for Treadwater. But like the publishing world is a different beast, which Massive can speak to, and Massive's really freaking good at it. So rather than trying to just like publish everything ourselves, we were like, well, let's do like, we'll be the creative studio behind it. We'll make all the content, and then we'll give it to people that know publishing better and partner with the right ones for each project, right? So
how did you figure Massive for this particular project? Massive is great. They got some fire projects. They're a fairly new publisher in the game. So, what was it about, you hooking up Dark Rose with Massive?
So at the time, I was the managing editor of Heavy Metal Magazine and the creative director there. And the company, this is all like kind of public knowledge now, but the company was having some trouble and some issues, and they needed to find, creative solutions to get some of their projects like out. And so they were talking to Whatnot Publishing, which is Massive's like subsidiary or something like that. And at the time, and so when Whatnot came on board, they saw the sort of portfolio of upcoming series, one of which was RAMGOD, and we're like, does this one need to go in the magazine, or because maybe we put this as like its own comic series? And we were like, yeah, we like that idea. That sounds cool. So what wound up happening was that Heavy Metal kind of paused all operations, and I think they're still in pause. They furloughed their entire team, myself included, and our series, which was supposed to become like an independent comic series, wound up like kind of getting frozen and stuck there for a little bit. So Owen and I were adamantly trying to, or doing everything we could to get the title back and the property back ourselves, and we were able to finally find.
May I ask, as independent creators working with a publisher in that type of space, and something like that happens, you're saying you're trying to get the property back. I mean, it's your property. I would think that should just be handed over.
So there's more to it than that. I'll give you specifics, right? So they paid for all of the artwork. They paid for it. We didn't. We wrote it and we created it, and we luckily had a smart contract that said, like if it's not published by X date, then the rights revert back to us. So they had all this artwork, which they paid for, but they couldn't put it out there anymore because they breached their contract.
And we own the copyright.
And we own the copyright, but we didn't have any artwork. So it was like, cool, they have artwork they can't use, and we have a story that we can't use without the artwork. So the options were either like find a way to buy back the artwork from them, and which we did. And they were very amenable to that and willing to work with us. That they weren't like holding it hostage, but they needed to obviously recoup their costs for it too. So we
I mean, that's fair. Whatever they paid is fair, so long as they ain't try to rape you.
No, they didn't. It was very amicable. As I said, it made sense for us to take what we needed to take our project back. And do it.
We made sure beforehand, right, before like spending all this capital to like get it back, that like we had a potential publisher lined up. So we went to Massive because they were the ones that were initially like Whatnot, right? We're the ones that were initially interested, and they were the ones that said, let's make this a comic because it's too good just to be.
And at the time, they were going to partner obviously with Heavy Metal to kind of be their imprint.
But so when I don't even know if they're going to be the imprint. I think they were just going to be a collaborative co-branded part. Anyway, they wound up when Heavy Metal kind of shut down or paused or whatever. Massive kind of Whatnot started Massive around that time, I think. And we went back to them and we're like, hey, if we can get this artwork back and we already have all the rights, would you guys be interested in publishing it? And they were like, yep. So we worked with them to bring it to life, and they've been awesome with marketing it and like getting us on this kind of show. Shout out to Chris Yates, who's our marketing guy over there. But Michael Claro.
Put this together. Big shout out to Chris too.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole team there, honestly, Michael, Kevin, Trevor, I always say they're very future facing. They understand like kind of that just like everything else, the landscape changes. all the time, and you kind of got to meet the need and evolve in the right ways. And I think that they do that. And we really, they're storytellers at their heart.
They're also strong creatives too, which is cool, right? You don't always have like the CEO being a good writer himself as well. But that it is the case with Massive, where they're like their top marketing guys and are also all really strong creatives. So it's made it a lot more fun working there too. It's less corporate feeling and a lot more like, cool, best idea wins. Let's make the series as great as it can be.
Yeah,
and that's the way it should be. That community spirit. Let's help each other succeed. And then the next one, the next one, the next one. Let's go and knock it out the effing park. I mean, look at all these amazing covers all at once. I showed you before, but all at once. My favorite, of course, is the first one. I love this magazine cover right here. Oh my effing God. It really feels like it's an old school sports magazine. Like, yo, what's popping?
Yep.
So eye-catching. And of course, you guys have a Virgin Mac cover. Oh my God. And then a foil shit.
Yeah.
Yo.
They're pretty epic.
Yo. My God. You guys are gonna make me spend some money.
These are only the number one. So this is a 6-issue series for season 1, right? So like we've planned for this to go far beyond just the first arc of the series. Like you'll see it.
Seasons? What do you got? What do you have written now? If you can share.
Season 1. Have. I mean, the full 6 issues are done. They're fully done.
Okay, done.
And then we have volume 2 or season 2, whatever you want to call it. Like the second arc is outlined as far as what we want to do with it, but we're trying not to get too ahead of ourselves and just focus on now that this is out. Like people are always like, oh, it'd be great as a spin-off series, and you can do this. Like, yeah, let's just focus on getting one off the ground first.
Yeah. Let's build this world, baby. Let's fall in love with these characters and understand what the heck is going on. Because I think everybody's really gonna dig it.
Exactly. It's the 6 single issues and then the collected trade afterward.
Have you seen like Westworld?
Of course.
All right. So how like in like season 1, you're like in Westworld, like you're in the
town and stuff.
Park, right? You're in the park pretty much. You don't get to see what like the rest of the world does. That's kind of like this a little bit. So when Owen was saying a tight lens to like a big city or a big world, we start very tight. And then by the end of the series, we pull out a little bit and get to where we now we hint that we're going to be showing you more of the world by the end of it. So like we plan for a much bigger, like there's like a storyline, which is the main one, the bank robbers, are they going to get caught? Are they going to get away with it? What's going to happen with Clint and his son? And then there's like a B storyline, which is sort of like a looming shadowy presence figure that winds up emerging to become the villain of the next season. So like we always think about that, which is like plant the seeds early, know where you want to take the story. Don't just kind of wing it, because that's not how you
call it. We call it the Breaking Bad approach. You know what I mean?
Love it. And Breaking Bad. I mean, look at you guys with this website on Dark Rose. You guys got board games, books. I mean, scripting series. You got what is going on? This web full service over here. So talk about the website here. I mean, what's popping off, man? So besides just buying product, I mean, we could get some work, or what's going on?
Well, go ahead, Morgan.
I was going to say, so we do 2 things, right? We make our own stories from scratch, and then we make other people's stories if they want to hire us to do that. So we can do work for us. If there's some creators out there that are listening, they're like, yeah, I got a little money saved up, or I have a company that we already have like a board game, but we'd love to make it into a comic book, or vice versa, or whether it's a video game, any medium you want to take it to. We have experience in doing that, like adapting, and we're really good at transmedia storytelling, right? Which is like creating an immersive experience that goes beyond just the one medium it started in.
Right, multi-platform.
That's the new word, transmedia. I've used that before. What the hell are you guys talking about?
Exactly. So what you just brought up too is this is our other endeavor here in our other project. Morgan, I'll let him kind of dominate here. This is his baby too, and we're launching a Kickstarter for the board game that's related to this.
Look at this! Holy smokes!
This one started as a graphic novel that we also launched on Kickstarter.
Bring that up again. Let's see that book. Let's see the girth behind it. Is it self porn? There we go. Look at that.
It's 224 pages of absolute beauty.
Oh, look at that! I love it's black on the pages, gold on the other side. Look at that, nice, yeah. That is self porn. Very nice.
Yeah. So we've been working on developing it as a board game for the last 5 years, and like board gaming is like totally different space. I thought comics were hard. Writing a linear story is like easy. Trying to make an actual, and it's not easy, by the way, but compared to making a board game, which is a whole new space for us. Like we played plenty of board games, but trying to write one and design one to make sure that it's like, it's fun and that it's.
No, we were rookies. We were rookies. We went from, as I said, we were being the comic guys to entering, tabletop gaming. And it was a a huge learning experience for us. And it was like trial by combat kind of thing, like RAMGOD combat specifically. It was a very rewarding experience though. We like to, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. And we definitely, had a lot of barriers to entry here. But as Morgan said, it shares the same characters, world, lore as our graphic novel, which was published by Dark Horse. So we basically were like, hey, we have this great story and this great world, and amazing artwork. How can we kind of evolve it and make fans of it and, interact with this story in a more hands-on way? And we thought that basically making a board game was the right way to do so.
Yeah, I mean, look at the die. I mean, I'm about to play
This is a custom dice, right? It's the Blood-Soaked Skulls battle die, right? It's they're like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's little skulls in there.
Yeah. See that? Yeah, man. I'm about to play some CeeLo with those. Let's go. So when I go to New York next, we're gonna go to a bodega by Carrion Park and play CeeLo on the corner and see if the cops bother us. So,
you gotta teach me, man. I don't think I played CeeLo.
Oh no, yeah.
I'm down though.
Oh man, we
love learning new stuff, man. That's like one of the biggest things, and we really ingrain ourselves like in the culture. So like, with board gaming, we started consulting with like pro gamers, like game creators, publishers, hobbyists, like, and taking it to conventions. So like the process of making a game is like the most iterative process. When you write, they always say like writing is rewriting and redrafting, but you only do it so many times. With a board game, before you finally get to the end version, you've got to like test it, not just internally, but like with actual players. Like you don't do that with a comic. It's not like as you're writing it, you're sending it to focus groups to like read it and be like, what do you think of chapter 2? And like, you don't do that, right? It's kind of, you use your core, team and your story editor usually to really help with that. And then maybe the publishers, but with board gaming, it's a very collaborative, to do it properly anyway, for us. It's a very collaborative experience. So when we started, we made stuff look pretty. Like we're good at that.
It does look pretty. I say that shit right now.
There were some cool story elements to the game, obviously, because it's taken from the same world that we had already fleshed out and built. So it's not just pretty artwork. It's like, these characters have real stories, but how do we make that play that way, right? So that was a process, and like we finally got to a point where by the end, like very recently, as we were sending it out for like the most recent version, people were like, oh, when is this coming out? Which is the best feedback you can get, which is like, can I buy this now? So we were like, okay, we think it's ready. And then we just recently started sending it out to like reviewers, and that's nerve-wracking, right? Because we knew that we were new to that space. Whereas like comics and stuff, we felt pretty confident, I think, when we write a book, having done it a bunch of times and having been published and, made a bestseller list and gotten awards and whatever. Like we feel good about and confident about that. With board games, it's very different. It's like, we don't know, but the feedback and the reviews have been like shocking and humbling, like in a good way, where people were like, this game rocks and it's got an old school, like, vibe, super competitive. And like, you'll find yourself shouting and laughing at the table and like just having a really good time with your buddies. And then we're like, yeah, we did it. So it's launching on Kickstarter. It looks like it's going to be early July right now. We're still, we haven't set the exact date yet, but that seems to be when we're doing it. So it's like July's a big month for us because we're going to have, I think RAMGOD comes out on July 24th, I want to say, or 26th, one of those two. And then we have Winds of Numisair, and there's the Kickstarter link.
Back this project. Notify me on launch. That's what we want.
You go to there's another one.
The play one?
Yeah, the play one. If you go to play.windsofnumisair.com.
Got it. I'll send it. I'll
send it because anything he shares, I'm putting on screen and I'm sharing. There it goes. Let me copy that link.
So this one, it like teaches like what I realized about, or what we realized about the Kickstarter page itself, the preview page, is it doesn't really show you anything other than the one image saying coming soon, and then the little blurb about what it is. Whereas the link that Owen just gave you, if you click that on the chat, that one will take you to not that one.
Well, this one too.
That one, yeah, that one. So this one will actually like kind of educate you a little bit on the like what kind of game it is it, how does it play, and it shows you like the components, like you'll see.
Oh wow.
Yeah, play.windsofnewmasera.com.
Yep. And then also we're doing like a really cool like sort of special promo where anyone that like if you enter your email address, you'll get access to our VIP page, which like lets you see behind the scenes and stuff we're working on. And then it'll also ask you if you like want to or like put in like a $1 reservation, which is fully refundable, by the way, to then unlock. You'll get, if like pretty much for $1, you'll get a $20 mini pack, like expansion pack of like some extra cool cards if you back the campaign once it goes live.
Yeah, if you like dark fantasy, you know, and engine builders type stuff, kingdom builders, this is for you. And we always say you don't have to have read the graphic novel to enjoy playing this game. Like at all, you could completely go in blind and play it and enjoy it. But if you have read the graphic novel, you will freaking love this. It will be way.
So I would suggest we get that graphic novel, folks. Just do it. Why not? Get immersed. You know, and get all that coin that's there. Make sure no one.
Those are all custom made. So like they have like on the back of them, like we designed these from scratch, right? So the front side is like, you know, got the number on it. The silver ones are the moons. The copper is like a tree, and then the gold is the sun. But on the back side, it's got the cool Winds of New Masera emblem, the swirling winds.
Look how dope! Look how dope, man. These guys are doing it, man.
Yep. It's not just cool looking components though. Like the game actually. It plays well, like it's cool, and it's better the more people you can get to the table. You can play 1 versus 1, but it's like when you got all 4 kingdoms together, because it's up to 4 players, it's definitely a more fun game.
Yeah, because as Morgan was saying, you know, being comic guys entering this and like coming from video production or whatever, like we understand design. We know how to make things look good, feel good. We understand good artwork and whatever. But at the time when we had entered this, we like really kind of undervalued, I guess, the playability component. And if you think that comic fans and the comic community are harsh, oh man, tabletop gaming is something completely, it's another level. They will rip you apart if they don't like your stuff. And, you know, and as we said, trial by combat, we learned and we refined and we learned and we refined over 5 years. And we got ourselves to a point where we're ready to go. And we feel very good about this game. We feel good about the universe and the world that we are building here. And as we said, we're storytellers and IP builders and transmedia, you know, storytellers, as we said before, different mediums, different products, consume it in all different ways. And we understand that it's an ever evolving landscape, you know, and fans and readers and, you know, people just in general consume content in a bunch of different ways.
I'm digging you guys' energy, man. The Rosenblums are here to take over pop culture, comics, gaming, and a whole lot more. You know, especially as fellow New Yorkers, bro. Yeah, bro. Just as a fan to creators, yo, fellas, man, y'all rock. Thank you for sharing your creative vision and putting and sharing your stories out there with us. You know what I mean, not many do that. You know what I mean? As creative as they are, many hold it back. But you guys said, F that. We're gonna work together and we're gonna bring the best of the best. I'm excited. We got comics, we got games, and hopefully I get to. Are you going to be at any conventions? Are you doing anything where we could meet you, see you?
Well, we're always at.
My kingdom could beat yours. I'm going to beat you your own game. Let's go.
Well, we're always at New York Comic Con. That's like that. That's our go-to. We're trying to make our way out to San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know what's happening there realistically.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, as I said,
New York Comic Con. I'm already in there. I got my pass. I'm ready to go.
Sweet.
We'll be like, just to be clear, like we want to go to as many conventions as possible. We love them, like whether we're going as fans or exhibitors or whatever.
Well, you should go to Terrific Con out here in Connecticut. You should go to Rhode Island Comic Con in Rhode Island. You know, and get your stuff out there. Those are the biggest shows out here.
100%. It just for context, right? So we all the stuff that we make looks pretty like high quality and stuff. It also costs a whole lot of stuff to make, and we pretty much pay for this out of our pockets, right? Like out of what we earn and save and whatever. So like that goes to our baby. We haven't made anything back yet, right? Because like RAMGOD hasn't come out yet.
It's okay.
So it's like, yeah. So, but like the point simply is that we need to make, we're focusing right now on these 2 launches. So like, you know, if you want to support indie creators like us and other people out there, like, you know, support the projects you believe in.
Click the links.
Yeah. And share it. Even if you guys like, are, you know, it's not for you, but you know, someone it might be for, like, oh dude, this guy or this girl or whatever would love this. Like share it to them, send it to them, right? Get the word out.
You know why I say it's okay? Because you guys got something special. And when you did something out of passion and heart the way you did, you've manifested good energy.
Thank you.
You believe in this, and you're gonna get this back
destiny,
tenfold.
Yeah, we're huge on Manifest Destiny, and I was gonna say to like anyone watching this and like who's a young, hungry creator and stuff, like something Morgan and I always say is like people nowadays get so easily discouraged where like they get like one rejection or like they feel like they're failing or they're overly like, believe me, I suffer from imposter syndrome. I'm always just like a critical overthinker and, you know, just like, I'm not good enough. This isn't good, blah, blah, blah. And I constantly psych myself, you know, out of that. And Morgan's a great older brother in the sense where he's like, no, like, let's do it this way. No, like, we're not giving up. No, optimism. Let's go. Don't ask, don't get. Keep going. Move forward.
The cup is half full, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Forward momentum, man. Forward momentum. Just, you know, as I said earlier, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes.
That's New Yorker. That is salsa Hector Lavoe. No. Imael Rivera. Pa'lante como un elefante. Meaning go forward like an elephant. Don't stop, yo. Like the juggernaut, baby.
Yeah, don't get discouraged. Don't stop. And this has been, as Morgan and I have said, like, we did the game for 5 years, but we've been in this now 10 plus years, and we just grind. And, you know, as we said, is it the most, there's the financial component, obviously, that comes into it, and you got to, you know, pay your bills and do your things and meet your obligations and responsibilities. But at the end of the day, we're big on fulfillment and purpose. We're huge on it. You know, you got to believe that there's like the light at the end of the tunnel, and you kind of have your internal compass and North Star. And Morgan and I are just naturally, you know, we love to be creative. When we are storytellers, it means the world to us, and we have to love what we do, and we do what we love. So it's one of those things where it's just kind of one foot in front of the other, day by day, and kind of make your own shit happen. No one's going to make it happen for you. You got to make it happen for yourself.
Exactly. When you sit on the boat and you're shitting, one shit at a time. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's make it happen. The Rosenblums are here to take over. Right now, independent creation, gaming, comics, and a whole lot more. Like, yo, they're gonna murder it. New York is in the building. I can't wait till everything's out. So, folks, I've been sharing this throughout. First off, you can follow my homie Morgan at Spoon_City on Instagram and TikTok, and Spoon_City with 2 Y's on X or Twitter, however you prefer. You can follow Owen over here at O-Flow. That's like a rap man right there. It's O-Flow 212, baby.
But he doesn't rap at all.
No, I don't rap. I don't rap at all. But I will say Morgan's childhood friend nicknamed me O-Flow back in the day, and it kind of just stuck.
Who nicknamed you O-Flow? I thought I nicknamed you.
Matt.
Oh,
O-Flow, bro. Yeah. That is the ultimate rap name. Like, yo, you probably, I'm gonna embarrass you at New York Comic Con. Yo, we need to battle rap O-Flow. Yeah, I would fail. I'll let my artwork do the rapping for me. All right. Oh, there we go. You can also follow him on TikTok at Owen Rosenblum. All right. Now, most important, follow them right there. The studio. See, all the madness is coming out of that joint right there. This creative studio at Dark Road Studios TV on all socials. Follow Dark Road Studios TV right there on YouTube. And it was at Dark Rose. I believe.
By the way, I actually think it's at Dark Rose Studios. Just without the TV on the, I think, on for social. It's only TV for YouTube, might be. All right, gotcha. Well, whoever sent me out there, Dark Rose Studios on social TV. Unless I'm wrong. Oh, and double check. And then the website, darkrose.io, you guys got to check out. All right. And then, of course, follow the publisher, Massive Publishing over here. Pre-order RAMGOD now before all those covers are gone, because a lot of those cool ones you like the chrome ones and stuff, those are limited editions. So, bro, David Magfoyle and the Two-Face, fuck yeah, bro. We got to make it happen. You know, of course, the Kickstarter project for Winds of Numacerat, baby. We got to keep up the easy peasy. Instead of that long Kickstarter, go to play.windsofnumacerat.com. You're gonna see what's popping, and of course, yes, there it goes. My man Owen done did it. He done did it. This is the last one I'm gonna show you today, right here. Instagram, Dark Rose Studios. That's right. Follow them. Stay up to date on everything they're doing. I'm telling you, these guys are part of the future of this culture of ours. I really can't wait to see what else you guys come up with. This is New York in the building. That's right, baby.
Absolutely.
Omega. It's the Rosenblum brothers, baby. Woo! Woo!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.